Hello, friends. welcome, welcome back. Happy daylight savings time. It's always just that fun time of year, and everyone's confused, and no one knows what time it is, and different countries are in different time zones. It's such a pain, but we made it, so thankfully we're all here. So today we'll be discussing Volume 5 of Berserk. It's in the special edition. Was this two?
Mm,
3? Is it two? Two.
two.
Two. Sorry, I have it together. I totally have this all together. Yeah. So before we get started, Dolores, did you want to give us an introduction?
Hi, I'm Dolores. I'm super excited to be here to discuss Berserk this morning. There's so many pressing themes on my head. I just can't wait to dive right into it. Yeah, there we are. And I do not support daylight savings time in any shape, form, or fashion. So you all know my stance on it. Down with daylight savings time. Waste of time. Give me my hour back.
Theft. It's theft.
It is. So that's all I have to say. Thanks.
And Joe, are you pro or anti daylight savings time?
I'm definitely anti-daylight savings time. I wish we should all just be on GMT. I'm against time zones in general. Just causes me that's a professional problem. Because I'm always translating. Wait, what is this in GMT? Wait, which timestamp is this? What's the time zone here?
Mm-hmm.
And no one in trouble. I'm thrilled to be rereading Berserk and discussing the themes, and which I haven't read in a while. I've read many times, but it's been a long time. So it's been a while. I caught up. I read 4 and 5 this morning. In prep, because I missed last discussion, so I never read 4. But I brought them with me, so I had them to read. So I'm good.
Nice. Prepared.
Yes.
And Varsha?
Hi, I'm Varsha. I have a tiny YouTube channel called Reading by the Rainy Mountain, and it is my opinion that happy daylight savings is the biggest oxymoron I've heard in recent times.
And Dan is here. He's not on camera with us this week, but apologies for not being able to join. I just came back from vacation an hour ago, and I'm really tired.
Vacations are rough.
Discussing. Yeah. You'll be missed, but hope your vacation went well, and hope to see you next week. So, Volume 5. What did you all want to start with? There's a bit to discuss.
I think all the people who end up being the real nemesis of the story, we find they have no genitals, and I think that's really the source of their anger. As we discovered in this volume, both Griffith and Zod are just smooth as Barbie dolls, and I'm sorry. I kid.
I did wonder how that works, though. I mean, you know, I don't know.
We could do a whole episode on like Japanese censorship and how it works. It's very weird. Like the stuff that you can find and the stuff that they'll not allow is just very alien to an American, like a Western cultural sensibility. So I don't know all the details, but I mean it's you can't assume that what is allowed and not allowed is kind of roughly matches what would be allowed or not allowed in like the West. You know, for a given age group, like they'll have stuff that's like, I can't believe I just saw that, and then other stuff that I'm like, why is this being blanked out? So, right, different sensibility.
I only just got what we were talking about.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
We see them both standing. It's like.
But like Puck, at least there's some blurring and not just smooth lines.
So, which then leads me to the question, because I did watch last week's video. I feel that Griffith is somewhat attracted to Guts because he seems to always be like watching him. And there's what other character is that? I feel that that particular character is jealous.
Casca?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, is this like a sort of this like love theme underneath it, or is it art? Is it just, I'm putting the word love to it by Western I guess by Western terminology. I don't know if it's like admiration. Maybe it's a lesser form of love. I feel like there's Griffith is attracted to Guts for some reason, and causes this sort of tension amongst the other characters, right? Like, why does he get favored more than me? And I'm like giving my all, and he still won't. Griffith won't acknowledge me the way he acknowledges Guts or whatnot. So I don't know if that's really a theme, but for me, I'm like, okay, why are you jealous? Just accept who you are, man. You kick ass anyways.
I did think that until Zod warns Guts. Here's a word of warning. Know a prophecy. If you can be said to be a true friend of this man, then take heed when his ambition collapses. Death will pay you a visit, a death you can never escape. So I wonder if he's using Guts if he's maybe using that as a way to, like kind of soften him up and to kind of let him in, to trust him. But he has other ambitions. It's kind of like the impression I had, but I might be way off.
Yeah, that's true. I think that's a because he's always looking like he's always see these little glances, and Now I wanted to know: is it because of that little egghead that's controlling Griffith, or is that really Griffith's inner being that's coming out? Joe, I see you shaking your head.
I think. Oh, I'm trying to figure out what I can say without giving away stuff that happens later. I don't think we're supposed to get the impression the egghead is controlling Griffith, right? That's not what happens. What happens is you get put in a situation, and then these evil forces give you a choice.
Okay.
You can make that choice or not. We saw, in a couple volumes ago, we saw that one, fat-headed guy decide not to sacrifice his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking about, right? You're not controlled by the Bellid. You're given a choice. The Bellid puts you in a position where you're going to get a choice, and then you can make it or not. So I don't think we're supposed to imagine that Griffith is being, but these themes of free will and who's really who, they come up again and again, and they have contradictory answers every time. Every time Miura gives us a different answer, because I think it was in this book, like in one of the the opening of the chapter where there's like some sentences that it's not clear who's saying them, or the first splash page or something. Some of them are about how man has a sword and man makes a choice but doesn't really make it. If you read them, they're not coherent. They're not all presenting one view of I need my reading glasses. No, it's not the man wields the sword one, but there's one of them that's talking about.
It's this one with the friend.
Yeah, I think that's it.
I think this is in the. Yeah, I added a note. It's both the things are at the beginning of the same chapter. A Wind of Swords. It's called. I think it's the third chapter.
And Dana, comment: the darkness that comes before. Is there really free will?
Yeah, right. So,
is that a Scott Bakker reference?
Yeah.
I studied free will at the graduate level too, but this is not giving us a coherent answer. It's very unclear, and it stays unclear. It stays unclear whether Griffith is controlling his destiny or his destiny is controlling him. And he plays with these constantly, and I don't think I'm trying to remember. I think you're going to read like 40 volumes, and you're not going to get an answer. Not clear. I'm not going to find it. I'm sorry, but I don't know that. I almost feel like it doesn't matter if Griffith's feelings for Guts are sexual. It's like this intense ownership.
Yeah.
Someone who he respects but wants to be able to use, but it's almost like the anime rivalry, like the true rivalry kind of thing. You see this in like shonen manga all the time, where and it's almost like lovers to enemies instead of enemies to lovers, I guess. But I don't think we ever see them like try to have. I don't think we ever see Griffith trying to make a. I don't want to give away future stuff, but I don't think we see him making like a physical pass at Guts and try to kiss him. Like I don't think that ever happens. It's almost more primal.
Well, when you said that, it's on page 302 in the deluxe edition, where Griffith is like actually looking at Guts and he says, "I will decide," and the word "decide" is overemphasized. The place where you will die, or the place you die. So it's like, how do you say that to somebody else? Like, I'm the one that's going to control your fate. I'm the one that's going to decide when you die. And it's like he's almost taking away the choice from him. It's kind of sad.
He wants to be the guy. He's got this will to own, this will to power that he wants the world.
Mm-hmm.
He says, "I got this necklace. You get the world from it." And he wants the world. He wants everything under his. He's got this enormous drive. And it's funny because Guts is also this other guy with this enormous drive, and he doesn't know what he wants.
Yeah.
He's got this enormous, endless drive. He struggles, and he just finds places to struggle again, even though he doesn't have a reason to. And his whole volume is him going, "I have just as strong a will as this guy. I just don't have a place to put it."
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was interesting that the objection Guts had to what Griffith said to him about, I will decide where you will die, and that's the level of ownership I have over you, is, oh, you're being silly, you can't get the world. It's not, how does this guy think he owns me like this? It's like that part he completely ignores. I don't know what to make of that, whether if that's a follow-up of him not taking Griffith seriously about conquering the world, or if he's so used to doing things for other people that or I don't know, feeling owned so far that he doesn't see this as any different.
Yeah.
The Manish had a comment. I don't think this is the right time to discuss those things about Griffith, to be honest. I'm guessing there's major events in the future, maybe.
Yeah, but I mean, there are some common themes, though, right? That we've been finding throughout, even from like the very, very first volume in the deluxe edition number one. That there's this discussion about, is there free will? Is there really God? Do we decide our fate? Does something outside of us decide our fate? So there's these philosophical questions that keep getting asked. And I mean, that's just always been the question, from the beginning of time, right? Is God really exist? And if God exists, why does God allow all this evilness to happen?
Right.
I think it's interesting. Gambino, he blames Guts for killing Sis, right? But ultimately, at the end of the day, is everyone's going to die at some time. We just don't know how or by what method. So I guess there's power in accepting that, right? Like, I'm going to die. So what do I choose to do with my life? Do I have purpose? Do I just kind of like float around? The fact that you have somebody else telling you you're going to, I'm going to decide when you die. I mean, does that, how do you take back the power in that? Like, okay, you're going to decide when I'm going to die. Well, I'm going to decide how I'm going to live. So I don't know. I mean, you could get really very deep into the whole lore, right? But at the surface of it, it's an interesting story. You have this group of people, everyone's trying to find their place. And you can see that some people just naturally will gravitate to a charismatic leader, right? Someone that can like, I don't want to say manipulate you, but they make you feel good about yourself, right? So that you would blindly follow them anywhere. And Guts isn't he kind of walks to his own drum, I think, right? He's beating his own drum, like, I'm going to do whatever I want. And you can see other people that are like, why aren't you in line? Why don't you follow everybody else? You're putting yourself ahead of you're putting yourself ahead of the group. So I think it's just really interesting to see the dynamics going on. And I see Joe like,
I mean, people like free will is scary, right? If you get to make all of your choices, then you have to decide what to do, and then that's terrifying. People kind of like being having a leader and being sheepified a little bit. Most people tell me what to do, so I know what to do, and then I don't have to wake up every day and decide once again, what my life will be. because that's the whole thing about free will. That's why it's if you read like Sartre, it's like it's nauseating to be free. It's like it's terrifying. It's not a good thing. It's like a terrifying thing. I wake up every morning and decide what kind of person what kind of choices I'm gonna make, and so all these people love having. I think that's part of why they love Guts. Guts is not Guts. Why they love Griffith, right? He's a pure will, and he's so confident and pretty and good. Like good at his job, like skilled, like smart, like he's effective. So it's like, oh hey, I'm some mercenary. I follow orders, and that's a good life. And then he's trying to hammer, because that's all he knows how to do is to have followers. He's all will, so all he can have is followers. He's Guts. I'm going to hammer you into this, round hole. You're, peg, and you're going to be a great peg. And I don't mean to make that as sexual as it sounded. I'm really sorry. I'm going to really regret that.
I wasn't even thinking about
so
that.
Sorry. That was an accident. But he's gonna and you almost see like Guts is like, okay, and he's like, I don't know. That's all. Of course, the way I love one of my favorite things about Guts is when he goes, I don't know, let me think about that. He's always doing it by sitting on the wall of a castle holding out a sword. It's like any other guy would do this on. I don't know where we would have these thoughts, but his philosophical thoughts are always holding a sword because that's him. So I didn't really think about it that way, but that absolving our freedom and following, joining in this band and following orders, and you're a cog. It feels good. People generally like that. People like being part of a team, not being in charge. And it's good. Yeah. And the Band of the Hawk is Griffith using that to create this tool that'll help him get the world one step or something, whatever he wants, a kingdom. Yeah. So that's cool.
And they do reference this group being young and being not as jaded as the other mercenary groups, so that they I think they would probably be more susceptible to that type of leader than if they were older and battle hardened.
They're impressionable. Yeah. You still can mold them. They're like pawns on a chessboard. He's just using them to move to his ultimate goal of, I guess, owning the kingdom or whatever. Because in this issue, we actually see him become a viscount. So he's like, they're giving him like these extra powers, and he's, I think he's all about titles. He's all about ambition. He's about climbing the ladder, and he wants to get to the very top.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He wants to get above the top. He's the kind of guy who's going to be like, "Oh, I've got a kingdom now. That's great. I can, peel my grapes, woman." He's not going to have that ending. He's going to get a kingdom, and it's like empire sounds good, and then whatever, that's until something happens. That's the impression I'm getting from these. I'm not giving anything away, but
no.
Oh, that makes sense. Sorry, go ahead, Dolores.
No, I was just going to say, but you're getting the little peaks of it, of his ambition that we haven't quite seen before. Like, okay, yeah, he's a mercenary, but he's now vocalizing like, I want a kingdom. And, what is a kingdom? I mean, a kingdom could be all of the universe, right? And that's what he sees as his domain. But you could tell he's out for like greatness and like being top dog, and I'm gonna be like, AKA a version of God.
Yeah, and for him to go out of his way to save Guts tells you that he plans to use Guts as a tool. For me, anyway, I might be totally wrong, but he sees Guts as his key to his kingdom. He's gonna use Guts. He has a plan for him how he's gonna use Guts and the way that Guts approaches problems in a way to get what he wants. So if Guts wasn't important to him, he wouldn't go out of his way to save him. He's not going to save him just because they're friends or he's one of the sheep. There's a specific role he's going to play eventually. That's the impression I got. Or
that's a chink in his armor, right? Or he's pure focused will. I'm going to achieve everything. I'm going to get the world. And his as some sort of like feeling of kinship and admiration for Guts, this being of pure will and struggle, he actually feels some affection, and it's actually there's actually like a defect in his drive. I think we're gonna find out, right? It's one of the. I think it has to be one of those.
Yeah, it's like his little what is it?
Achilles heel.
Yes, thank you.
Achilles heel. I don't know.
There was when Judo, is that her name? When she's talking to Guts up on the wall at some point, she describes how she feels about Griffith, and it talks about how he's full of contradictions. Like just as you think he's about to go wild, he smiles instead and gives the sweetest smile and things like that. That I was wondering if he's just someone who has figured out how to control his baser instincts, so to speak. Like his tendencies are to rage and be mad at his followers, but then he's controlling himself because he thinks he can maybe manipulate them better that way. So I guess the word that I got out of that conversation was manipulative. I wondered if Griffith is just a very manipulative person who knows how to treat people to get what he wants from them. Yeah, and that's a big part of his charisma, perhaps.
Yeah. We see him almost effortlessly be better at almost everything than everybody else.
Yeah.
He's like the D&D character with all maxed out stats, you know.
Yeah. And I guess we see some of the sheepy instincts when Guts is proven to be really good at what he does, and all his I guess the members of his squad are all hero worshipping him and bragging about their commander to other soldiers and things like that. So I guess he's building his own following within the band of the Hawk, so to speak.
Yeah, people do that on teams, right? Like if you go to if you talk to people who are on like a football team or something, you know, they'll sit around and they'll tell stories about, oh yeah, last year we had this guy and he was a linebacker and he was savage and could do these amazing things. You know, it's almost like you get pride by association. And,
Yeah,
that's a very typical. I've seen all kinds of teams. I've seen it work. Oh, this guy we work with, he's brilliant at whatever, coding or whatever. That's my job.
He figured out daylight savings time. He's brilliant.
Yeah, that daylight savings time, dude.
That's wrong.
Well, and I think just humans in general, right? We are social creatures. And it's just, I think instinctively we gravitate towards, some sort of like leadership structure where we know where our place is in the pecking order. And it brings a sense of, again, goes back to Joe's point of, you don't really have to think, right? Because you just know what's expected of you. It also takes away some of the responsibility, right? So if something was to go wrong, you could say, well, I didn't make that decision, or I didn't choose it. So there's sort of like a little escape route, because you can pass the buck to somebody else because they made the decision. So much easier for lots of people, right? Just tell me what to do, because I don't want to think about it.
That's why I got married. Nice.
It makes it easier because you're working like as a team, right? So there's someone that does X,
your marriage is different than mine.
But I mean, there are these some expectations you come to a relationship with it, being married or not. That sometimes it's easier to conquer and do things with numbers, right? It's harder to do it by yourself, but if there's a second person, you can divide and conquer, right? So like the saying, there many hands make for light work is what I've always been told. So
I like that.
And people love to use that. I didn't make that decision. Don't look at me.
Yeah, exactly. Go up the chain, man. Next one up there. I didn't do it.
I didn't make that decision. Yeah.
My boss did, or my wife did.
That's why you enjoy being married, Joe.
She calls the shots, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you pick those shades out? Don't ask me.
Yeah. I just do what I'm told.
You just wrote the
Hey,
check.
yeah. I show up here. Okay, I'm here. I'm not supposed to talk. Okay, I'm here.
You met my wife.
It's just yes, honey.
Yeah.
Yes, honey. No, honey. Yes, honey.
Great.
I think even in this scenario with this life and death, because that's all they have, really. This is is their survival. So I think people would be even more susceptible to falling into their role, knowing that they'll survive if they follow this certain person. Whereas, that's their life. Their whole life revolves around survival. And by themselves, if they were by themselves, would they survive?
A little more difficult, I think.
Yeah.
And some great artwork. I wondered if some of this artwork was charcoal. Some of the pages. Yeah.
It looks like something. It's gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love the 2-page.
I'm sorry, I forget who said it, but one of you guys said it last on the last one that he probably, as he grew in popularity, he could probably afford more assistants. Because the backgrounds get more detailed. There's different stuff because they're going to let him play with his release schedule and give him more people to help. Because one thing that happens in Japan that they don't really do in this country is you'll have a guy drawing like the main characters and his assistants will draw on all the backgrounds. It's very typical. And in this country, that doesn't really. You have a colorist and a penciler, but the penciler does all the pencils in American comics. But here they're on a release schedule. It's a little different. Yeah, that's good stuff. That's some good. Yeah, he's holding a sword, thinking.
Yep.
That's his reflection time, right?
Yeah. It's like
Wait, was that a spread or?
Yeah, I think it's the first page of the volume, or one of the first pages.
Oh,
He's
okay.
contemplating. It's chapter 8, and I almost don't want this arc to end.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a good one.
It's not going to end well. Whatever happens, they don't live happily ever after, right? Because we know that. This was a big chunk of the Band of the Hawk was a big chunk of the first anime. They actually embellished it. They added some more like battles where you get to see how clever Griffith is as they use tactics. I actually really liked it. Other people, some people didn't, but that was the one that came out, I think, in the 90s. And it just adds some more, very much in the same spirit of Griffith is smart. He's not just anything. He's great at tactics and he's very clever and imaginative. And, again, he's great at everything you want in a leader, every skill set. So they added a bunch of those and it was good. And then they, the stuff that happens later it was like a season, but it was a whole bunch of episodes. I forget how many. Great music. If you ever a chance to watch the original Berserk anime. I actually bought the CD. It tells you how old I am. I bought music on CD.
I still buy CDs.
Yeah, I have it somewhere. It's in a box, but
in a box.
In a box.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's on Spotify. I'm gonna go look later and see if it's on Spotify.
I don't know what it'd actually be called, but yeah. What'd you guys think of Zod? Our first little glimpse into the supernatural in a while.
Yeah. This was terrifying.
Yeah.
It's good, right? It's funny because he's actually so much less creepy looking than the demons we've already seen.
Yeah.
He's almost normal compared to. It's like you're getting you know what you're going to get to because you've seen it in the first chapter or the first volume, right? And now it's like, oh yeah, we got to get you back there. We're not going to get you back there all at once.
Yeah.
Because almost seems human when you first see him.
I thought he looked like a big version of Beast from Beauty and the Beast. It kind of looks like Beast, doesn't it?
It does.
I would not expect that storyline to be repeated with Zod.
No.
But But he shows up. He recognizes the Bellet. Did you guys?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we know we'll see him again somewhere. As he
Oh,
says,
interesting.
this battle's not done yet.
Oh, yeah.
Gets his arm chopped off, puts it back on.
No problem. Yeah,
No
just put it
problem.
back on.
And he needs to feel alive, so he's on a killing rampage. I like that when he finds a worthy opponent, he wants to shred them to bits anyway. It's like maybe if you let them go back and come back to you later on, you can fight again, feel alive again one more time. But nope, he wants to kill them both, keep going until they both die.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm sorry. Go
Sorry,
ahead.
go ahead.
Go ahead, Varsha. No, go
Oh,
ahead.
I was gonna say I did not really understand his prophecy. I don't know what that means. I mean, not. I guess we don't know what is going to happen for that prophecy, but I did not. That what does he say? Something about when his ambition dies, you will die with it. Something to that effect, right? A death you can never escape. Yeah, that part was interesting.
I definitely think you're not supposed to understand it.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
You're supposed to read that and go, I don't get it. And then,
Okay.
in another couple volumes, you'll go, oh.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah. This is a bunch of stuff.
I want to say my theory, but I don't know if it's right, and I don't want to
No,
give. I don't.
Tell your theory.
What's your theory? Let's see.
I'll
Let's
laugh either way.
Well, I think he gets the mark. At some
Mhm.
point, he gets the actual mark that we had seen in like volumes 1 and 2, and that this is my theory. I've not read anything, but Griffith will sacrifice him as the choice. So it's the count's choice. Remember, the count was given the choice to sacrifice his daughter, but he chose not to. Griffith, in his vie for power, will,
Mhm.
and he will decide when and where he will die. And so that is like a this thought of like, okay, I'm killing you for my own ambition, because his ambition no longer can be of this world. It has to go beyond it, because he is so driven that he wants it all. He will sacrifice what he needs to get it, including guts. So that's what I think is going to happen. I don't know. That's my sort of my foreshadowing. I think it's some sort of foreshadowing for what's coming.
You gotta like write that down or save that snippet of video somewhere and then like replay it in like 2 months, or I don't know. I don't remember what volume you'll.
We'll finally find it somewhere, right? And I'm like, Steve, I don't want to look at anything, because I wanted to know Kintaro's background. Like, what was his view? Was he agnostic? Was he an atheist? Did he have some sort of Eastern philosophy that influenced the way he wrote? Because I mean, like, to create something like this, like, you have to be thinking about philosophy on some level, right? Like, what's my purpose? Why am I here? Is there really God? Is God, like, why does God do these things, right? So I mean, I think he would have been a fascinating person to sit down with and to have a conversation like, what's your view of life? Because then it explains a lot of, or possibly could explain a lot of why he wrote the way he did.
I don't know if I'd want him as a friend.
No.
You don't? He might have been. I think he would have been interesting to even just to dissect his own philosophy, right?
A lot of darkness in there too, though. No, you're right.
Yeah, but in darkness comes light, right? You have to have both. Well, you don't have to
You
have
haven't
both.
met my family, clearly.
But that's what makes life so great, right? Is you have all of this variety. Because if we were all like the same, how boring would that be, right? Steve can't control himself.
Man.
He's like, oh my gosh.
Oh, that was good. That was good. Yeah.
Joe, you might have to bring the family on one of these live streams, so we can be like, so tell us more about your dad.
No, it's actually my mom, but it's neither here nor there. This is going to be on YouTube, isn't it? I'm going to shut up now. But no, I'm kidding. No, I think what Manish said. Yeah, you'll definitely you'll know if you're right or not as you read on. Like you're everything you said is going to be everything you're thinking. Everything you guys are thinking about it will be addressed.
Yeah. But I mean, that's what makes a good story, right? Is like you got these little tidbits. You're like, oh, I need to find out. I need to keep reading.
But there are stories that don't do that. You know, like I mean, I don't know if you remember the TV show Lost is my favorite example, where there are all these little tidbits leaked in there that really don't get addressed and answered and resolved. You know, they're just like, oh, we had no idea either. We just wanted you to keep watching the show, so we threw in these clues that didn't actually lead anywhere to make you wonder and want to watch the next episode. This is not what's happening in Berserk. I'm not giving away anything by saying that. I'm just saying like that's not the kind of story. He's not just how do I get there to read one more chapter, and he's got a story. So you're gonna get answers, more answers,
or more questions.
I mean, as a reader, I hate that when it's like, oh, you'll never find out. Well, I'm like, well, I'm gonna put the book down now. You know, that bugs me personally. So, but yeah.
You have any theories, Varsha, or what that could mean? The prophecy.
The prophecy, the death that never ends, death you can never escape. I was wondering if that we haven't come to that part yet in the future either. That you remember what happened to the count, right? He became part of this demon maelstrom. I was wondering if that's what that means, a death that you can never escape. But yeah, because he's not dead yet when we meet him, or at least not in any way that we understand. But yeah, when his ambition collapses, he says, and Femto did not seem like someone whose ambition has collapsed yet either. So I wonder if this is a prophecy for a much later time than where we left off before we picked up this arc.
There was a section earlier in the volume where Griffith talks about buying it from a fortune teller ages ago, also called the egg of the king, is destined to obtain the world in exchange for his own flesh and blood. You see, it's said that whoever possesses this, the world. So his ambitions are not just, you know, it sounds like he wants the world and not just, he's thinking big, you know, big scales, not small.
Yeah.
Is that how the count got it the first time too? Was through this fortune teller? I can't remember where he found it.
I think he bought it from like a traveling merchant or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, but pretty close. Yeah. What or did he say fortune? He might have said fortune teller.
I don't know if it was. Well, I know he got it somewhere, but it's always interesting. Like, who's this person that gets it and decides to sell it? Where's this person play into the whole thing, right? Are they just another pod? I don't know. It might be like some side thing, but I just think it's interesting that, oh, I got it from this like person, you know, random person. I bought it from someone.
I always feel like they're like the One Ring, like they just end up trying to get back to whoever they're supposed to be with.
Yes.
No one really pays much attention to them. They, you know, show up in like a bag of, you know, junk that someone is selling, and they end up in the right hand, and then they stay there.
Interesting.
I don't remember if that's actually supported by anything in the text.
Well, you also wonder if it's so powerful and can bring so many good things to you, then why is it so available? Why has it changed hands so many times?
And also, is someone in control of who gets it? Like Dolores said, is it I don't know, some god or fate equivalent that's deciding, here's how I want to drive events, so let me give it to these people with all this ambition.
Who's Sauron? Right? Who's Sauron in this story?
Yeah.
Who becomes Frodo? Who carries it at one point? I mean, if you think about it, even Frodo couldn't resist, right? He couldn't resist the ring in the end. So, I mean, is this a test, right? I don't know. I just can't wait to get to the next one, just to keep reading.
And it almost brings us back to free will. I mean, if someone destines you to pick this up, then can you control it? Can you control yourself?
Well, stuff will happen, but you can say no at the end. And saw it with the count. with his daughter, right? So
Mhm.
so that's that scene. I keep coming back to that scene.
Yep.
It's like 2 frames, where he says no and he gets sent to hell, and it's like, okay, that's saying a lot that he was there and they said you're destined to do this and he didn't do it.
Mhm.
So I think the first few times I read that I was like, yeah, whatever. But now I'm like, this actually really
Yeah.
meaningful.
Very impactful, right?
Does your edition tell you the overall chapter number, like in the series? Like, does it say you're on chapter? Because we're at volume 5, so we've got to be around chapter 40-ish, 35. Do you have that number?
It doesn't give us issues, but it does say chapter. I think that it's chapters within the arc. I think it is. Yeah, because we're like on chapter 8 or 9, I think.
Because we have to figure this out. Because chapter 83 is the missing chapter
Okay.
that Miura wrote and released, and then had it deleted from all the volumes in Tankobon. Never let it be reprinted.
Yeah, so it does have.
When we get to 83, we're going to have to all go online and read the missing chapter.
Yeah, so it does have
Oh,
the arc, and then it has chapters.
no, right.
Then, but I don't know. That's
But there's a running total also. Wait, does mine have it? I'm gonna check. I don't think mine has it either. I can figure this out. I'll have to Google it.
Manish is here to help us out. That's in volume 12.
Nice.
Oh, thank you. Very helpful.
Mhm.
We got time.
Yeah, the streamer has been really, really weird with the comments lately, but Manish also mentioned, I'm pretty sure he trained assistants, had his own studio very late in his career, but not early on.
Really?
It must have been a ton of time illustrating these issues. There's some spreads that are full of detail.
Yeah, but these weren't in one of the weekly. I don't think they were ever in the weekly mags. Or like Naruto's in a weekly. So it's 20 pages a week of Naruto every week.
Wow,
for years.
That's a lot.
Or One Piece, all the ones you've heard of, pretty much, right? The famous ones. The shonen stuff is all weekly. I think this was in Young Jump or something, and I don't think it was ever weekly. And he took a lot of breaks in his life. If you count like all the years, there's not enough stuff to. So he had time to put a little more effort per page, because you couldn't draw all this stuff by hand in a week. Yeah, it wouldn't happen. So, yeah. So
bi-weekly.
Oh wow.
Even that, it's quite a bit.
Yeah, it was a chapter per issue, right?
Yeah, these are all published in anthology magazines, where you get like whatever 10 stories with a similar age demographic target. So for boys or for girls, and is it kids or adults, and then if they're popular ones get collected in the tankobons, which are volumes that look like this.
Got it.
Oh wow. And then that would be just one title, and these are the ones people would keep. You wouldn't necessarily keep the people would, I'm sure, but you wouldn't necessarily keep the because they're like phone books, the anthology titles. They're fat, they're on cheap paper, and the art was different. Like I don't know if that was happening with Berserk specifically, but the artist would clean up the artwork for the tankobon, so for that little graphic novel release, they would, many of them would, clean it up, make it better, sharpen it out. If you read like Hunter x Hunter, which is an amazing manga, I love it. I was reading them as they were released, and the art was terrible. What the heck? And then once the volume came out, they just added in so much background detail. I was like, oh, that's the problem. You don't want to read what comes out like as it comes out. With that one, the difference was dramatic. Other ones, I don't know if it's as big. Bi-weekly. That's amazing. This guy was talent. So
that's about 20 pages every 2 weeks, right? That's still a lot for the amount of detail this has. But maybe, like you said, they cleaned up some of it later on. Yeah.
Bi-weekly for 10 from 91 till 2001. That's a lot. That's quite a bit.
Yeah. It slowed down a lot after that. Swords.
That's
what else happened in this one?
So we're starting to see some court politics.
Yeah, I was wondering, just like they made him Viscount, if someone would make him ruler of some small kingdom, and then really regret it for the rest of their life, because that would be the opening that Griffith needed. Well, I guess he'd create one regardless, but that would just make it easier for him to go build an army and conquer everything around him. I was wondering if they have like things like contracts and stuff that say, we're going to give you this kingdom, but don't try to invade us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no one favor.
he's not the type to follow that for too long.
No, he would play. I think he would play along with it until he got what he needed from it,
Hmm.
and then make his move for some other power boy.
Yeah.
I got to say, reading this again, and I didn't think of this the first before this read through. I keep seeing Guts as like, every time I read him, I keep thinking of Miura is feeling like depression. He's like, I'm just going to put this guy through everything, and he's just going to keep struggling no matter what. It's going to be like my avatar of depression or something. Like my cheerleader. Like I want to be like I'm going to write this guy because I want to be like this guy because I want to struggle as hard, even though what I'm facing isn't even half what he's facing. I want a little bit of that for myself. I'm projecting. I don't know. I'm not saying that's actually what Miura was thinking. But if you read Guts like that, it really feels like, oh yeah, and then this other horrible thing happens, and he keeps struggling anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like giving up, but Guts never. Even God, he's like, oh, okay, an actual monster is fighting me now. He doesn't really give up. He's like, well, how do I care? He's just trying to figure it out. He's trying to plan. He's not stupid, but he doesn't say I'll retreat.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm gonna run. He never does. So it's you can see how if you feel like giving up sometimes, Guts is going to be a good hero to have.
Yeah.
Think about it. Guts wouldn't give up.
He wouldn't. I just find it interesting that everybody keeps blaming him for stuff. We've had Gambino blame him for something. Then we had, is it Caro, or the like second in command to Griffith that's so devoted to Griffith? Casca. She keeps blaming Guts, like, if it wasn't for you. So it's just sort of sad. Everybody keeps blaming Guts. I mean, it's like they forget, like, those individuals made those choices. Those that was their choice. It wasn't Guts' choice to do what he did. I mean, Guts chose to do, but Griffith chose to go in, save him. So I don't know. I just find it interesting that everyone's always blaming him and putting blame or passing responsibility to people that shouldn't be carrying that responsibility.
He starts out being blamed just for literally being born.
Yeah.
Just
we're gonna blame you.
I'm sorry.
She died. Yeah, she died because of you. Like, what?
Sorry. Yeah.
Manish had a comment. Guts brings disorder to the group, which Casca doesn't like. She thinks he's pretty reckless.
Hard disagree. I think she's looking for an excuse to be mad at Guts because she's jealous that Griffith likes him better.
Mm-hmm.
Every time there's something wrong, she's all over him. But really, she's just sad that, she's in love with Griffith. And again, I'm not sure it's completely sexual. It's almost like it's almost
devotional.
Yeah.
Devotion, like almost like hero worship, and maybe it's sexual too, but it's not primarily physical, or even like she wants to marry him and have his and have a relationship. I don't. Maybe she'd be happy with that. I don't know, but I mean, it's different than that. It's
acceptance. She's like looking for acceptance. I'm just like Guts was looking for acceptance with Gambino. This is, I think, you can make the argument that it's her way of being like, I want to be accepted because I'm worthy, or I'm valuable.
She wants to be acknowledged.
Yes.
Worthy, right? Like she's so good, and it must be so much harder, especially as a woman in this scenario, which they say is very rare. Sure.
Manish, well, that's another element, but it's not just one or the other thing. I think it's a combination of multiple things. That's true. I think she's looking for that adoration. She wants to be recognized for the work she's put in, and Guts rolls in, and he has all the attention when he hasn't been around as long as she has, and she wants that recognition to say, yeah, you've done the work, you've put in the time, and Guts is having more one-on-one time with Griffin.
And Griffith treats Guts as special from like day one. Everyone is always like, he's never done that before, from like the first day. And everyone, I can imagine for her toiling away hoping for some acknowledgement that she's special, and then this guy rolls in and he's special right off the bat. That's gotta be rough. Like, Dad, why don't you love me?
Becomes the middle child, right? Like,
Yeah, the baby comes and everyone loves him more because he's cute, has a big sword. You know, it doesn't work perfectly. It's close.
This how to make friends that influence people. Carry a big sword. That's how you do it.
I never had anyone give me any grief while I was carrying a big sword. I'll tell you that much.
No, who's going to give you grief? It's like,
Exactly.
how you doing, Joe? Can I get you some coffee? You know,
You want me to hold the sword?
Yeah.
Sends a message for sure.
Yeah. And he's
Definitely.
18. What when no he's 18 when Griffith becomes. I want to keep track of this. When Griffith becomes Viscount Viking, however you pronounce that.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because he was 11, then it was 4 years with the other mercenaries, and he's with the Band of the Hawk for 3. So he's very rough hewn 18-year-old, but I don't know. And we know he's still got his hands and his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And his eyes, yes.
Every volume or so I track. I'm like, wait, does he still have? What else is?
Yeah, like he still has his arms. Yes, okay, it's not this one.
There was this one scene where he's bleeding a lot, the blood's like dripping down his arm, and I'm like, no, he doesn't lose his hand. And he did. He was fine. You see his hands.
I wonder if he's not going to lose his arm until about the very end of whenever Griffith makes a sacrifice and gets to be one of the God's Hand. Is that what he becomes? And because then he might be less useful to Griffith, and we know that he was with him until the end. So I have a theory that he's not going to lose his limbs until then.
You'll see.
We shall see. Anything else you guys have on your notes or want to mention for this chapter?
There was one about how when Griffith and Guts are talking about the God's Hand, and they have themselves a laugh about gods or demons, and they burst out laughing. I thought that was very interesting. I guess the gods are very different in this world. They are not known to be benign. I think gods have the same connotations as demons, apparently, and that's very interesting.
We know like supernatural stuff ends up happening with Griffith, but I really get the feeling that at this point he doesn't know anything. Like he thinks he's trying to become like climb the ladder of nobility, get a kingdom, maybe conquer the world, whatever. But I don't think he's imagining. He doesn't seem like his reaction to Zod doesn't strike me as, oh, I was waiting for this.
Yeah.
You know, his reaction to Bell when like, it blinks, but he doesn't seem to really put a lot of stock in it as me actually being meaningful, more like a good luck charm, like whatever. And I'm curious. And I'm not saying this because I've read further, and I don't remember if this ever is clarified. You know, oh, I didn't know, or I did know. I actually don't remember if he ever says anything one way or the other. But I think it's really interesting to watch him and sort of see what is the scope of his knowledge, because he seems to know more than everybody else about most things.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's expecting Zod. You know, like something like that to be a real thing. So.
Yeah. And I don't think they've said it yet, but I imagine the God's Hand, assuming that that's what Griffith eventually becomes, they are immortal, right? So I would imagine, like, if they are immortal, I would imagine that Griffith's ambitions would stretch to that. But then maybe he's either not articulating it yet, or this is all he wants at the moment. He just wants to conquer the world. Not a lot.
That's one does.
That's it. Yeah.
Like Pinky in the Brain.
No big deal.
Yeah.
Just another day at the office, right?
We do today, Pinky. We always do. Try to take over the world.
Yeah.
I'm dating myself. I don't know if you guys remember that cartoon.
Which one?
Pinky and the Brain.
Mhm.
It was
I've
part of
heard
the
of
Warner Brothers.
Kind of.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was just an evil scientist and his rat sidekick, and one was they think they were both rats. What are we gonna do today, Pinky? What we always do: try to take over. Okay, it's not funny if you haven't watched it.
I remember it. Don't worry, Joe. I remember. Yes.
Okay.
and
It was
and
with
one,
the Animaniacs too, right? The
Yeah.
Animaniacs.
Yes,
That's right.
it was with
Yeah.
Animaniacs.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yes. I'm sorry. Obscure.
And
reference.
they did the they would go around they were around the world and they would do all the countries. They would have that song. I always thought that was the coolest song.
Yes.
Yeah.
No one sing it. I'll sing it.
Well, yeah, I was trying to think of anything else. Just a lot of emphasis on the egg of the king.
Hmm.
The way Zod reacts to it, but I'm surprised. It seems like these go really fast because they're like 200 pages, and it goes pretty quick. Even kind of taking your time and admiring the artwork, it still feels really fast.
Hmm.
I mean, if you go by word count, it's not like a 200-page book.
No.
It's like a 20-page book in terms of actual words. So yeah.
Well, the pictures say 1,000 words, right?
But I don't think it's like I think if you read something like Naruto, I don't think you and Steve, I don't correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think you read a ton of manga, but if you read like other ones, like the more shonen stuff, like Naruto, they go even faster. Hunter x Hunter is a little dense.
It's actually my first manga. We're reading Uzumaki on Varsha's channel next week. We're talking that one next week.
Enjoy.
Uzumaki. Ooh, that sounds good. I'll have to turn in and see how that one goes.
Read
Yeah.
it with us. Read along with us.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll have to go pick it up.
Okay.
I'm about trying all kinds of different types of genres.
yes.
I don't think you should stay in just one particular one. If that was the case, then I would be reading historical romance forever.
If I heard so Uzumaki is about the fear of spiders, and I've had friends who say that they became afraid of spiders after reading the manga. So come join us. Read with us.
Read with us. Read with us.
Can't afford that. My whole role in my marriage is being the designated spider killer.
Mhm.
Do that anymore. My wife doesn't really need me, and then I'm back with no one to tell me what to do.
Joe, that's like your unofficial official job, right?
Yeah.
I'm the spider killer.
Well, other bugs too, not just spiders. Whatever shows up.
Yeah. Instead of carrying a big sword, you carry a big slipper.
Go to work and leave me a note. Silverfish in the living room. Make sure to
Oh, I got my slipper. Here it comes.
It's a really big slipper that I swing, 1,000 times a day.
Right,
Yeah.
spiders. Sorry. Sorry about my
Spiral.
pronunciation.
I can just say spirals, that's fine. That won't affect anything.
Let us know, Dan, if you'll be reading that one with us next Saturday. Yeah, anyone's invited. Just let us know you're coming on the forum.
Awesome.
Cool. Anything else you guys can think of? I think we pretty much covered everything, but
Yeah, this one felt like it had less happening overall, but we met a lot of things that we see later. So I guess it's the beginning of the end, in a matter of speaking.
And I gotta shout out to the armor and stuff, like the Ram's Head Cavalry. Was that this volume? I think it was.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was. Yeah, they had these ram-shaped helms.
The helmets in that, I love them.
Yeah,
It's so good.
that was really cool.
Not historically accurate, but whatever.
it still looks cool. Yeah.
Does look cool.
Yeah.
Was Zod one of the gods? And I thought someone said something earlier that no.
No, but he got out of Dodge quick as soon as he saw that thing. Like,
Yeah.
I'm out. Bye. I gotta get away now.
You're screwed. I'm out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the prophecy for you. I'm leaving.
Yeah. This is an A and B conversation, so I'll just see my way out of it.
He went into the fridge at work and saw lunch and was going to take it, then he saw someone else's name on it. You know,
Uh-huh.
like, oh, this isn't my lunch. This is someone else's lunch. You already have it.
Yeah.
You're already claimed. You know?
Uh-huh. There's some bigger fish out there, so I
Yeah.
gotta go.
Yeah. Someone will eat you, but it's not going to be me.
Not my problem.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Bye. Yeah. Well, cool. Yeah, it's always a good time. It's so much fun reading these. It's such a nice break from everything else we've been reading. So it's lots of fun.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree. They're good breaks.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, before we sign off, Dolores, if someone wants to get in touch with you, where's the best place to find you?
You can find me out on page Chewy under Dolores Lima, and I'm out there. You can send me a message or just come check us out there.
Nice. And Joe, where can people find you and your books?
I'm on Page Chewing as well. I have a website, jcmburn.com. My books are sold everywhere books are sold, as long as it's Amazon. And I have a YouTube channel with 3 videos up. That's very exciting. It's not that
It is
exciting, but I have 3 videos up. I have a 4th one that I need to edit and put up, but I had a rough week. So, where I talk about books and I don't burn any.
It's always a good thing. Yeah.
What's called Book Burning is the name of the show that I saw, which is just I had to do the pun. I couldn't. Could not.
Do you have like a burning book in the corner when you're?
I'm not that skilled. I can edit. I have intro music, and I use Canva for my thumbnails, and that's about the limits of my. This all happened in the last like 2 months. Like, I should have a YouTube channel. How do I do that? And I'm like, okay, I need to learn like video editing, and I do all this instead of writing, so it's not really a good trade. But that's why book 4 is not out yet.
It's better than doom scrolling. I mean, you do something productive.
Yeah, I try to avoid that. So
yeah, it's tough. And Varsha?
I have a YouTube channel, like I said, Reading by the Rainy Mountain. The About page has ways to reach me if you'd like, and I'm also on the Page Chewing forum.
Nice. And of course, you can find me on Page Chewing or on Vero at that one MFer is my social media platform of choice. I know I get a laugh out of every time too. So, but thanks everyone. We'll see everyone next week. We'll be reading Volume 6 in Deluxe Edition 2, and then if you are into manga, we are, like we mentioned, we are reading Uzumaki on Varsha's channel next Saturday. Anyone's welcome. Just let us know you're coming on the forum, and we'll be discussing that next week. Be sure to tune in to chat with us about that. So thanks again, everyone, and we'll see everyone soon. Enjoy Daylight Savings Time.